May we have a good presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here and to present you guys today with our presentation. Today, we're going to be setting the stage for productive negotiations. And as Group 1, Elouan, Roque, Sahil, and myself, Wagner, we're going to be presenting to you guys those ideas and also be attentive and sharp on our microphones because we're gonna add some volunteer as well, and whenever you guys would participate, be sharp on unmuting yourselves and pay a lot of attention because this is gonna be really interactive. Right now we're gonna go over a class activity and then we're gonna give a small lecture so you guys can better understand all of our arguments and all our research. And right now let's go over the class activity. Please just jump in, Roque.
Okay, thank you, Wagner. So first of all, we'll be needing 8 different people, and they will be separating into 2 different groups. So 4 people per group. I think Sahil is over there coordinating with you guys and helping you sit. These 2 different teams will be represented by X and O, and each of them will be showing a different aspect of how a negotiation will go. Moving over to Sahil.
So today is the class activity for setting up a right platform for the negotiation. This practice is a board meeting for HULT. Due to COVID exposure, HULT has decided to shut down San Francisco campus. And there are 2 teams, Team X and Team O. Team X is favor, and Team O is against shutting down the campus. So you may proceed to your tables. Can I have the volunteers from 8 volunteers from the class? I think it's the whole class. I think that's everybody. Yeah, that's everybody. Come on over. So Team O can be Tino, Ahmed, David, and Natalia. Team O, right? Team O. You have to choose your seats. It's a board meeting. You're walking in. You have to choose your seats where you sit. But there's Team X and Team O. But decide where you sit. That's a part of the class activity.
So that's X.
There's no Team X, team like positions, but you have to choose yourself where you sit. It's a board meeting. You enter the room, you choose the seats where you sit.
Team X, right?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter. It's just you decide where to sit.
Does it matter if this is O and this is X or
No.
Yeah. Okay.
This is where Jesus said at the Last Supper.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
You should have gone to school with me. He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have gotten kicked. They'd have put me in the basement for that one.
Okay. So, Tino, Ahmed, David, and Natalia. Professor, this one? Yep. So there's no structure of what team is for pro and for against. You have different sheets on yourself. The negotiation would start in a minute, and you have 2 minutes to argue your points. Since it's a board meeting and it's internal, you have to conclude a solution in 2 minutes.
So we can only use these arguments, or can we make up our own?
You can make up on your own as well.
Okay.
So it is important that each team keeps its arguments to themselves and not share with the other team. We just gave away some few starting arguments for you guys to set the negotiation and which directions you guys want to go. But you guys are totally free to make up your own arguments, whether or not you should close the San Francisco campus indefinitely.
Well, I would say that they shouldn't shut it down, because I actually discovered yesterday, talking to some friends in the biotech industry, that one of the safest places to be with COVID is on an airplane. because they don't want the liability. They don't want to be traced back. So what they do is that they exchange the oxygen every 90 seconds. So what I would say is if they could just exchange the oxygen every 90 seconds, like treat it like an airplane, then all the inconvenience that they have of, employees being laid off and, you already got an apartment and we're going to have to get rid of that, all the knockoff inconvenience of what they've done, plus this could impact people's visas. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. So I would say if you get a great air filter, we can keep the campus open. That's my position.
Anyone against wants to tackle it?
I assume that the silence is agreement.
Yes.
This means I'm pro closing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I'm against it. So you brought up a point that to change basically the oxygen in the campus every 90 seconds per se, like an airplane. But do you realize that how expensive it would be? And as a university, I mean, there is a limit to our budget. We can't just go around and spend millions of dollars on new filtration, a new air conditioning system to just switch the air in 90 seconds.
Well, Biden's giving out billions of dollars for like the PPP loans, which are going to be forgiven. So it's basically free money. So I would say if we apply for a loan, we just go belly up on the loan, and it's not our money, use the government's. They just passed 1.9 trillion.
Majority of the PPP loans were for small businesses, and Hull Business School is not a really small business. And when you consider the big restaurant chains, for example, when majority of them applied, some of them didn't qualify. Like that was just because they are franchises and they are like Hull, they have different locations all around the world, but they still doesn't qualify as a small business to receive that loan. And Halt would receive, since there is US economy is gigantic, and if you divide 1.9 trillion among all the businesses, Halt would have probably gotten like 500,000. And you can't exchange all the air filtration system in a building for 500,000.
Well, what we can do is get disaster relief funding. So there's no limit on that. So large corporations have already gotten money for that. It's a different program that doesn't have the employee limit that you're looking for. But I'm wondering if you and I might be on the same page of the negative impact that our hourly wage workers might have, because they're the first ones that are going to be laid off. They don't have savings. So the impact of us closing is we are going to be creating more homeless people in San Francisco. And if you've been to San Francisco, the homeless situation is insane. I'd say it's completely lack of compassion to have a relatively wealthy school knowingly turn hourly wage earners into homeless people. And this is not an exaggeration. These people live paycheck to paycheck. They don't have a week's savings. These people are making $11 an hour. And so the first thing that's going to get shut down is the cafeteria. The people that come in every day to clean our desks, they work their asses off. They're going to be hurt the most. And I think that we could find the money for a filter to keep those people employed.
I think that we both agree on one point that we want all the workers to have a better future than they have right now, right? Especially the situation like that. If you look at the broader picture of what happened to a lot of other companies workers, so that when they got laid off, they had to either leave San Francisco because it was expensive and cheaper towns. And not only that they were able to do that, in addition, that opened up a whole new economy for all these people who were moving to these new places with new skills, and they were able to establish a lot of new businesses. Not big businesses, they're small businesses. But the government stimulus program provided for a long time, provided $600 in addition to the $300 in employment, plus the stimulus, plus the second stimulus, and the weekly unemployment benefits for a lot of these people have been way, way more than the money that they would have earned by working hourly.
I understand, and without digging into the details of our undocumented workers that don't qualify for
Professor
those
McCarthy,
loans.
excuse
Yes,
me.
sir?
I would like to just say closing remarks, please, due to time constraints. If you can wrap up the argument, we're gonna continue on the exercise and do our little lecture on the things that we are observed as the presentation goes along. So please conclude
Sure.
your remarks.
So my quick close, just to basically say, I think that we need to be compassionate about all the people that we are impacting. I think that we grab a loan to get an air filtration system. If there is not agreement for that, then we do agree to keep these people on the payroll, which may be cheaper than an air filter system. So I'm okay with the cheapest option, but I do not want to create homeless people. That's my position.
Okay. Thank you for your input. Thank you guys for participating in class. And now let's move on along the assigning the seat strategy and our main argument and the reasoning behind this whole presentation. So this whole thing started with you guys being presented in the class. And as you can see from what we have here on the slides as well, we can see positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we can see that and I move my mouse across here, there's already a physical division in the table. Fortunately, we have great negotiators in this class, and as Professor McCarthy, Ahmed, and our other colleagues are already in the table of our experiment negotiation, we're able to see that they already use some of the tools and some of the things that we learned on how to negotiate on, for instance, recognize each other's points, or maybe build in the interest that they commonly share and look towards the problem and not the people. And some of the things that we would like to present to you guys is that, for instance, after looking at some academic research and some of the resources we use to build our arguments on this research, and also the class activity when we talked about doing, is that we checked the Harvard Business School report on setting the stage, which talks about the physical space of the meeting, of the negotiation, and also the book that we were assigned on this class, which was the book Getting to Yes, the videos, the recordings that we heard, and also the PDF that people found and read about. There was a specific argument when it comes to chapter 2 on separate the people from the problem. As we could see there, that also it's better to face the problem, not the people. So as Ahmed and Professor McCarthy just did it in class, they did it without us even telling them to do, which was, even though they were from opposite sides of the discussion, they presented different strategies. They were not facing each other in a way that one would be not one side and the other one would be the other side, and the physical environment would be clashing towards them having an environment of combat, in a way that they would be facing each other instead of both of them, as they did already without us even telling them to do, which was great for the presentation and our experiments. They seated along their sides and they both faced the problem. And this is some of the things that we got from the book itself, which says that it's better for you to literally sit with your colleague or with the person by their sides, so you can face the problem instead of facing themselves. And our presentation goes along on how it's better for you to have this structure. As we presented here, the proposed approach would be to have a person from another strategy to this strategy, and the other strategy from strategy O, and OX, so we can have the people that are different approaches or different interests sitting along themselves instead of in front of them. Because what happens often in meetings is that people that align with what they think, they sit in one side of the table, and the other side of the table is what the clashes of interest conducts. So in a negotiation, our main argument is that it's better for us to sit along the people that we don't agree with, so that we face the problem together and we face the problem, not the people. Now, let's go on to one of our closing remarks, and I'm going to pass on to Elouan.
So the connection of the learning outcomes and all the research we've made from the Harvard Business Review is two principles. So the principle of ethical thinking of utility, and the second is the principle of utility to problems in business ethics. So the principle of utility during negotiation in board meetings, as you observed during this class activity, the use of principle of utility and the sense of space is primordial in order for the negotiation to happen smoothly. As you observed, negotiators are often filled with ranges of emotions and reactions, which could definitely affect the outcome of the experiment. The aim of this experiment is to educate you and the class to control the spatial environment in order for both groups to gain a favorable outcome and reach the yes that everybody wants to reach into this negotiation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for participating, guys. Here are references, and great time, great activity with you guys, and hope you learned a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Nice job. Thank you, team. Like this.